right. Yeah. Got my wife sick all last week.
Like, like I have hearing plugs, but like just jam down. Like, but I thought it's like, yeah, like, positive. But
It's going around me too. A lot of people say those hospitals.
I have to figure out.
Yeah, we got our free shots and stuff. It's supposed to. All right. Okay, gang, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back. Good to be back. Good to be here with you. Welcome back to environmental interpretation. So if you think back to the last couple of weeks, excluding last week, that's right off. Last couple of weeks, we've been spending a lot of time on themes. Kind of like get that one sentence together that's going to wrap everything else around. Because the most important sentence in environmental interpretation, or historic interpretation, or cultural interpretation, it's all the same thing. So we've been practicing with a couple of examples of some topics that you guys also going through last Monday, week ago Monday, some examples of like common topics. And one thing we found that in the course of doing that is that it's a little bit hard to get that theme statement, that all important one sentence. Everything else gets hung off of. It's hard to get that into active voice, where you're not just putting out a dry statement of fact, like we've been trained to sort of memorize and regurgitate our whole lives, especially here in science-based major. The language of science is passive voice. So here's an example about historic interpretation or prehistoric interpretation about the So if any of you guys are into like survivalism skills or skills and stuff like that, to interpret to your classmates about skin and brain and deer, what kind of students do that perhaps, or salmon, for example. Right. And in talking about these topics, whatever they are, in getting from the topic to the theme, we often fall into that easy trap of, okay, I've been taught my whole life to like hang on to this pile of facts. And here's paper for the test. And that's kind of the default. So that's okay. It's understandable. Like that's what we've all been training this whole time. But it is not particularly effective for us as storytellers, as interpreters, as people who are working to build a really meaningful connection between the topic, the thing that you're interpreting about, and participants, your visitors, your whoever is consuming this interpretation. So let me give you an example with the old spear throwing device called an atlatl. The atlatl was used to maximize the kill potential of short throwing spears. All across the pre-modern North America, there's a lot of mechanical assist devices. It's basically a long handle, it's an extension for your arm that you notch a short throwing spear into, and you with that extra leverage from the end of the flings the spear way harder, get more muzzle energy. So it's like shooting a larger caliber bullet that happens to be a spear. And it's helped a lot of people put food on the table. With, the price of groceries and going out to a restaurant these days, we can all kind of empathize with the difficulty of putting stuff on the table, right? But this is a passive voice statement. It's boring. It's dry. It's just a factoid. The atlatl was used to maximize the kill potential of short throwing spears. Okay, whatever. Go on with our lives. We don't think about it because we don't feel anything about it. So, our opening exercise for today is to take a statement like this, just a factoid, and learn to recognize that this is passive voice. It's using one of those passive voice verbs. It was used to. So the verb phrase here is was used to. It's 3 words. But in active voice construction, it says the same thing with less fact. So down at the bottom, we have the example, paleo hunters use atlatls to maximize throwing spears kill potential. It's a 1-word verb instead of 3. So that's less for somebody to keep in their brain. More efficient. We're starting to get at that whole Steve statement is story. Sentence. Setting. We've got some kind of statement. And we've got some kind of action in the action verb used. Okay. So whenever you identify any one of those 22 helping verbs that we've talked about, again, it's all semester long. Be and is are what's verb in. Do, does, did, can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must. Being able to take a step back from that statement that we're working on. Identify the passive voice sentence. Says that or take that verb, flip what is after the verb to the front of the sentence. And identify who is doing the action verb. All right? The atlatl was used by whom? The atlatl was used to maximize the kill potential of short throwing spears. Okay? Paleo hunters used atlatls to maximize throwing spears kill potential. So we take the original subject of the sentence, move it after the old verb was used to, chop out the preposition the to, chop out that passive helping verb that was, and was used to becomes used. Somebody did something. That's a story. The atlatl was used to maximize the kill potential, blah, blah, blah. It's not a story. It's just a statement. Or it doesn't hit you or me in the field. But a story, I need to do that. Paleo hunters. Was struggling. There is survival, there is existential danger and threat implied in this sentence. Paleo hunters used atlatls, etc., versus just that dry, boring statement of fact. Have you guys ever been on a hiking trip? You didn't bring quite enough snacks with you. Me too. One time, Appalachian Trail. And I would never do that again. Because it was so horrendously like 25 miles. In fact, when you look at kids who are experiencing food insecurity, oftentimes for years afterwards, once their situation gets better, they get out of poverty sometime. School, jobs, right? Take care of themselves in that way. For years afterwards, developing a lot of kids who experience food security Well, that's where it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But my point is, we can either have people encounter boring, dry, context-free facts, factoids, or we can tell a story of human survival in one sentence. And we can start to aim people towards that sense of connection, sense of relation, that sense of, man, why did I for my what do you feel like? Be back. That's what I yeah. On a hike and for just 3 hours and didn't have much to extract. Yeah, that was pretty. So, in terms of lived experience versus our ancestors, distant ancestors, lived experience. So, I want to say, if you find any of our theme writing exercises, we'll do a million of them throughout this time. If you find that you are using passive construction, the apparatus was used to achieve it. It's okay. We all do it. We've all been trained to do that since forever. School. Watch flashcards. That's not the right tool for us. Telling stories that foster human connection. Get past a bunch of books. To the minutes. Experience. Share. Cool. Any questions about passive voice construction? Please. Paleo humans, people like me, use that title too. Questions? Especially in this first half of the semester, I'm not going to thank you guys for accidentally slipping up and so that's the voice construction. It's kind of an acquired taste, but learn to see it. And go. Pick up your stuff. And let's prepare to head outside. As you are packing your stuff up. We're going to move from just that intense laser focus we've had for a couple of weeks straight on theme statement to all of the other stuff, all the other furniture we're going to remain around it. So, every professional interpretation experience has these 5 key stages. Right? And you'll notice these are a lot like every essay you've ever written in class before in class. It's got a beginning, middle, and an end. For interpretation, we stick a pre-game show on the front, and we have a section for after the experience is over, your job isn't fully complete yet. We take that we add to it pre-game show. Yeah. Good. Right. So, right outside, we're going to go out this door here, and we're just going to see what this kind of looks like just a little bit. Out the back door, towards Thompson Woods. Ashley Ang, a slight right out the door. Cool. Thank you. Very good. Awesome. There you go, Matt. Okay. So let's just pretend for just a moment that we are on an interpretive hike with moi, your interpreter. And so already at this point, before we step out our first step away from like the visitor center or the Camp Andasonk lunch or the cabin cluster area. The trading post. There you go. Before we've done any of that, I've taken some time as the interpreter to prepare myself for what we're about to do. And that's as basic and obvious as stuff like go to the bathroom before you're out leading folks for an hour so you don't have like a turtle head poking out for an hour in front of a whole bunch of people and you're like doing the strange walk and they're wondering, they're wondering, right? Right. So this prep phase is explicitly built into the process. It's built into the outline for interpretation because we got to be ready to bring a professional level of focus and preparedness and energy and welcoming to folks who may be coming in from all over the world, but no idea what we're about to talk about, what we're about to do. If any of you got into forestry, like I understood that forestry meant I wouldn't have to like work with people all day long because I'm kind of an introvert, because I'm a really strong introvert. Well, then that pregame show, that prep time is critically important for you because as an introvert, you're going to be spending energy to interact with people, right? And if that's you, that's awesome. Extroverts kind of look like they rule the world. But when you get into actual academic research of like, what do introverts do in organizations? They're actually the engine of moving things forward. People. And an extrovert or an ambivert is going to be more sort of gaining from interacting with people, right? They get charged up by hanging out with people. So if you know anybody like that, who tends to just like amp up and up and up whenever there's like a party or a get together, something like that, that's fine. But for all the rest of us, a pregame show is there for you. And we'll talk a little bit later on what that looks like, what folks tend to do professionally in that time, and so forth. So let's take it for granted that I've spent some time doing that, sort of collecting myself, preparing any materials, going to the bathroom, having a snack that's not ramen or pure sugar, something like that. And we're all ready to go. The next stage in our 5-part outline is that introduction. And the introduction is going to do a couple of key things. It's going to establish who I am, who I believe you to be, at least like if we wanted to talk about a forestry topic, we could talk about how ancient cultures and modern cultures alike depend on, we look to trees, specific kinds of trees for lots of specific reasons. So let's say that's our thing. We depend on specific trees for specific things. Cool, right? You and I, as forestry folks, ostensibly, we have lots of ideas with lots of little blanks we could fill in under that basic thesis or that idea or that theme statement, right? We know a lot about a lot of different trees. We could go to the cherry bark oak. Just gonna wander over to it. And instead of passing somebody a book about cherry bark oak physiology and ecosystem ecology and ecological niche and so forth, and saying, good luck reading a bunch of facts and figuring out what's important out of any of it. Instead, we can move everybody physically to the tree. And we can have people touch the tree, engaging at least those basic 5 senses, right? So touch, hearing, taste, etc., 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 right? There are dozens of senses that you and I can perceive. The perception of the passage of time, for example, might be beyond our basic 5 sensory inputs. Also things like proprioception. If these are cherry bark oak branches, so hardwood, is this branch heavier